Welcome in to Texas Football Today pregame here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. My name is Greg Tepper, managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and to my right is the Dave Campbell's Texas Football High School Football insider, Matt Stepp. Stepp, here we are.
I mean, it's going to be great. We're about ready to get this thing started. I'm excited.
It is a 4-day extravaganza of high school football, all the games broadcast on Fox Sports Southwest, and of course we will have complete coverage at texasfootball.com/state. We are here to preview Wednesday, the first day of the state championship games, 6-man day plus one of the 11-man games going off on Wednesday night. We're going to light this candle with 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 1A Division I state championship game between the Borden County Coyotes and the Jonesboro Eagles. I already did my analysis in the picks. Here's my breakdown of the 1A Division I state championship game on Texas Football Today.
Revenge or repeat? That's the question in the 1A Division I state championship game. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks in partnership with All-Star Inflatables, your guide to Texas high school football state championship games. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we're previewing the 1A Division I state title game. 11 a.m. Wednesday at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. It's the Class 1A Division I state championship game between the Borden County Coyotes and the Jonesboro Eagles. What are the keys to this matchup? Well, key number one, time warp. So the 6-man playoffs are set up a little bit different than the 11-man playoffs in the sense that they have one fewer round. But the UIL wants to play central site state championship games, so these teams have been kind of sitting around. They've been waiting for 10 days to play this game, a very long layover when you're a creature of habit that plays every Friday night or maybe the occasional Saturday game. Beyond that, this game kicks off at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. Not exactly football time for most people. So there's a number of mitigating circumstances that these teams are facing heading into the biggest game of their season. Who can handle it best? Key number two, Jonesboro's ground game against Borden County's defense. This is the strength-on-strength matchup of this game. Jonesboro wants to establish the run with Wyatt Young and Ethan Liljadal, and they're very good at it. They run the ball to the tune of 363 yards per game. But on the other side, they're going up against the number one ranked statistical defense in 1A Division I for Borden County. Trace Ritchie has been fantastic. This front is very good. So this is the matchup that's going to determine this game. Can Jonesboro establish the run, or will Borden County's defense be too much? And key number three, deja vu. If you feel like you've seen this movie before, it's because you have. This is a rematch of last year's state championship game, which was a dominant 60-12 Borden County victory. In fact, they held Jonesboro to just 197 yards of total offense in a 45-point Mercy Rule victory. Now, look, these two teams are very different this year, and there's going to be a number of changes. But will we see a repeat of what we saw last year, or can Jonesboro make the adjustments to get the win? Who am I picking? I'm going with Borden County. I think the Coyotes are the better side in this one, and I think that they proved it last week with their big win over unbeaten Happy. I think their defense is a big difference in this game. Obviously, Trace Ritchie is a defensive superstar, but we haven't talked a lot about the Coyotes' running game themselves. Nick Prulks and Peyton Murkett lead a grinding Coyotes attack. Jonesboro is going to need a big game from Wyatt Young if they're going to pull this one out. For now, I think Borden County wins the 1A Division I state championship.
So there you have it. There's my breakdown of the 1A Division I state championship game between Borden County and Jonesboro. And Step, I know you are mostly an 11-man guy.
Mostly, yeah.
So you know, I want to get your take though. This is a rematch of last year, and it was not that much of a contest. Borden County really had their way with Jonesboro. I kind of foresee that being the same way, but maybe being in the state championship game for a second time certainly means something.
Yeah, anything can happen, but I would definitely say Borden County has got the edge. Got really tremendous depth for a 6-man program. Numbers that you would see from a 2A Division I type program in their program, especially up front in the trenches. They really have a unique advantage for 6-man football, and I think it's going to be a real tough matchup for Jonesboro.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think it's a matchup problem in that regard because this is a Jonesboro team that they want to run the ball. They want to grind it out with Wyatt Young. They want to keep this ball on the ground. They go for something like 400 yards per game on the ground. They want to grind it out in the running game, but that's kind of playing into what Borden County does best, which is they win in the trenches and they tackle well. On the other side, you're going to see a lot of Trace Ritchie, the coach's kid, the son of Coach Trey Ritchie. And remember, this is a Borden County team that is the defending champs. They come in with the champion's advantage. And I think that having, it's one thing when you have experience on the big stage it's another thing when you have the experience on the big stage and you're playing a team that you beat last year.
Yeah, the confidence will be high for Borden County. I think we might see a closer game this year, second time around. Yeah. But I'd be real surprised. I think Jonesboro is a fairly heavy underdog in this one.
Yeah, last year it was 60-12, ended right after halftime. Early in the third quarter. This may go a little bit deeper, but I'm going to stick with my pick of Borden County in this one. I think they go back to back, and so that's just the first of 12 games that we're going to have here at AT&T Stadium. Here previewing the Wednesday slate of state championship games. The second game, the 1A Division II state championship game, the smallest teams in the state. It's Balmorhea back in the state championship game, taking on Strawn, who is back in the title game for the first time since 2009, chasing their first title since 2008. Here's my breakdown of the 1A Division II state championship game here on Texas Football Today.
Get ready for a defensive slugfest in the 1A Division II state championship game. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks in partnership with All-Star Inflatables, your guide to Texas high school football state championship games. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we're previewing the 1A Division II state title game. 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. It's the Class 1A Division II state championship game between the Balmorhea Bears and the Strawn Greyhounds. What are the keys to this matchup? Well, key number 1, defense wins championships. That's the old adage, right? You got to have a defense to win a title. Well, the good news for both these teams is they have great defenses. Strawn has the number 1 statistical defense in 1A Division II, led by their outstanding playmaker, J.W. Montgomery. But on the other side, Balmorhea has the number 2 ranked statistical defense in 1A Division II, led by their outstanding playmaker, Josiah Garcia. So this seems like a push on paper. Who can make the plays defensively to get the win? Key number 2, Plan B. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that these two defenses are going to take away the number 1 threat for each offense. So for Balmorhea, they want to establish the run with Kyle Garcia. That means they're going to need another option. Maybe it's going to be their quarterback, Marcos Mendoza, throwing the ball. We saw that a little bit in the title game last year. And for Strawn, they want to get the ground game going as well with Tanner Hodgkins. Can they find a secondary option? The defenses are going to be the dominant force in this game. Who can work around them better? And key number 3, big game experience. So Balmorhea was in the state championship game last year. They lost to Richland Springs, but put up a good fight against the Coyotes. And the good news for them is all but one of those players are back for this year's squad. They have tons of experience when it comes to playing on the biggest stage of them all. Strawn has not been to a state championship game since 2009, and this will be their first game at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. And for a small school like Strawn, it can be a bit overwhelming. Does Balmorhea have a decided advantage because they've been there before, or is it just another game? Who am I picking? I'm going with Strawn. I think their defense is the difference in this one in what should be a low-scoring, very close affair. Beyond that, their running game is really grinding right now with Tanner Hodgkins and Carlos Villanueva. I think that could be a big difference as well. For Balmorhea, if they're going to win this game, they got to get multiple threats going. They got to get the ground game going with their outstanding running back, Kyle Garcia, and they need to throw the ball as well with Marcos Mendoza. For now, though, I'm going with the better defense. That's why I think Strawn wins the 1A Division II state title.
There you have it, my breakdown of the 1A Division II state championship game. I will tell you that, like, my boss, Adam Hochfelder, who has been to all the state championship games that have been here at AT&T Stadium since it moved here on a pretty semi-permanent basis in 2011, he's never seen a 6-man game go the distance. We've only seen 45-point mercy rolls. I really think this game's going to go the distance. These are two pretty evenly matched squads.
No doubt about it. I mean, Balmorhea comes in with the experience, having played here last year. A lot of guys back from that team. I think the whole team came back from the state runner-up squad from a year ago. And Strawn, you look at their scores, they've got one of the most explosive offenses in all of 6-man. I think it's a great matchup, and I do think this one will go the distance, which I'm really excited to see just how many points could get scored in this one.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this game is that, these two teams have some offensive firepower, and you need that in 6-man, but the defense has also been excellent for both these teams as well. Strawn has beaten every team up until last week in the semifinal. They've beaten every team by the 45-point mercy rule. And a lot of that is just holding teams in check and taking away their best thing. So, the interesting thing about Balmorhea, they have a little bit of balance to their offense. They can run the ball with Marcos Mendoza. They can throw the ball with Marco Martinez. They've got Kyle Garcia. They can run the ball and pass the ball. They're probably going to need both to happen to get past this Strawn defense. On the Strawn side, They're going to try to establish the run. A great running back in Tanner Hodgkins, who had a great game last week, as well as Carlos Villanueva. They got a couple of running backs that they're going to lean on. But in the end, though, I think this is going to be a very tight affair. I expect this to really go the distance. And in talking with the six-man folks, Lehman Saunders, our six-man insider.
The experts.
Yes, Cowboy Parks of Six Mania and Granger Huntress of sixmanfootball.com. They're all split on this game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that is going – I think it's going to be – if you've never seen six-man football, I think it's really easy to watch title games and be like, oh, well, every game's a blowout. I don't think the only result in this game for me that would be a blowout, or would be a surprise rather, would be a blowout.
Yeah, I agree. I think this one's going to be nip and tuck all the way. I do think we'll see the points get up into the 60s and 70s, maybe even the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at two offenses that are really good. Could come down to which defense can make stops, especially late.
You're exactly right. And remember, Balmorhea is traveling the farthest of any team, right at about 400 miles. They're going to be almost 500 miles, I believe.
Yeah, it's a long
They're
trip.
going to be coming to AT&T Stadium, but
they'll be in full force, though, won't they?
Oh, man, they had a great crowd last year, so I expect it to be a fantastic game. One other thing to keep an eye on, the kicker for Strawn, Lonnie Nava, is a fantastic story. She will make history. She'll be the first woman to play in a Texas high school football state championship game, and if she makes a kick, she'll be the first woman to score in a Texas high school football game. So that's something. And I'll tell you, special teams could, in a close game,
it's huge in six-man.
You never know, and having a weapon like Lonnie Nava could be very important for Strawn. So that is the 1A Division II state championship game. That kicks off at 2 o'clock on Wednesday here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. We're previewing the Wednesday slate here on Texas Football Today. And then there's one more. They're going to change over the field. They're going to wipe off the...
I'm most interested in that. I want to see that process go down.
They're going to get the Zamboni out.
Yeah.
They're going to kind of clear the ice, and they're going to set up the 11-man field for the first 11-man state championship game of 2017, the 2A Division I state championship game with two of the most decorated programs in all of 2A football, if not the state. It's the Mart Panthers and the Refugio Bobcats, 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. Here's my breakdown of the 2A Division I state championship game here on Texas Football Today.
Two of the most decorated small schools in Texas high school football history square off for the 2A Division I title. These are the picks. Welcome into the Picks in partnership with All-Star Inflatables, your guide to Texas high school football state championship games. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're previewing the 2A Division I state title game. 7 o'clock Wednesday night at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. It's the Class 2A Division I state championship game between the Mart Panthers and the Refugio Bobcats. What are the keys to this matchup? Well, key number one, Mart's front seven. This Refugio offense is really hitting its stride right now, especially on the ground. Running back Jacoby Avery has been fantastic, and the offensive line is really starting to gel at the right moment. Just last week in the state semifinal, they ran for 467 yards on San Augustine. That is no small potatoes. But now they're going to face a Mart defensive front that is playing exceptionally well. Zamar Curvin leads a very fearsome front seven here for the Mart Panthers. Can the Panthers do what basically nobody else has done? Slow down Refugio. Key number two, Refugio's pursuit. Refugio is going to be taking on one of the fastest teams at any classification in the state in Mart. This team is loaded with playmakers. Their running back, Tyrick Horn, is a bona fide burner. And their quarterback, Jace Terry, while he's a valuable thrower, is also a very dangerous runner. It's going to be up to Refugio to find the right angles to slow down this Mart attack. Jamel Lafon, their defensive back, has to have a big game. Can Refugio get to the ball carrier and tackle them when they get there? And key number three, coaching. One of the great things about the Texas High School Football State Championship games is that we get fantastic coaching matchups, and the 2A Division I title game is no different. On the Mart sideline, Kevin Hoffman has quickly established himself as the heir apparent to Rusty Nail, a guy who has taken this program and guided it to the heights that they're used to. He is establishing his own legacy there in Panther Nation. And on the other sideline, you've got Jason Herring, who really may be one of the best Texas high school football coaches going right now, going for another state championship. He seems to always push the right button. So in a game like this, where both teams seem very close, can one of the coaches pull the string that's going to put their team over the top? Who am I picking? I'm going with Refugio. I think the running game has just been so grinding, even against fantastic defenses like Mason, who they saw in a regional final. They were able to find a way through. Beyond that, I think that their defense is fast enough to at least contain this Mart attack. Now, if Tyreek Horn can get into space and make plays, I think Mart has a fantastic shot, and I expect this game to be very close. But in the end, I think Refugio wins the 2A Division I state championship.
There you go. There's my breakdown of the 2A Division I state championship game, and we're back in your realm of expertise. The 11-man football, and especially small school football. I know you have a special place in your heart.
Got a soft spot for the little guys, right?
For the 2A teams. And so here we go. Mart and Refugio, the number 1 and number 2 winningest programs in 2A history going at it. Nearly 1,460 combined victories
Unbelievable
between
stat.
these two programs. Both entering with a loss to a team that is bigger than them, and both entering with, I would say, an offense that's been incredibly hard to contain.
You look at these matchup on paper, and I'd say it's maybe, aside from maybe one other matchup, the most even matchup on paper we have from a historical standpoint and from a 2017 standpoint. I think the big difference in this one is going to come down to which team in the trenches is going to be able to make a difference. Because I think the skill matchups, I think both teams are evenly matched, and especially from Mart, they haven't seen a team that I think can match them at the skill positions man for man. Refugio kind of saw that last week with St. Augustine, but Refugio had the edge in the trenches, and that was really huge for them to get that semifinal win.
Yeah, because in a lot of respects, Mart has kind of had the advantage in the trenches with their big defensive end, Zamar Curvin, who is, like, if you haven't seen this kid, he's a superstar. He's going to be out there at the defensive end.
U of H commits, and it's rare for a Division I commit to be at a 2A Division I school.
At a small school like that.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have this. Normally, Mart's had the advantage in the trenches, but here's a Refugio team that is almost entirely predicated on winning in the trenches. You know, you talk to Jason Herring, remember, a guy who kind of reinvented this team a couple of years ago into a little bit more of a power team. They still throw the ball a bit, but they want to run the ball with Jacoby Avery, and so I think you're exactly right. One of the key matchups I'm going to keep my eye on is the Refugio offensive line against the Mart defensive line. And then for Mart, look, there's speed at every position here. They can fly.
Yes. Yeah, I think Jace Terry, obviously, is kind of the conductor of that offense. He's got a lot of weapons. Tyreek Horn, Shatadrick Bailey, the diminutive but really fast running back.
The woo-woo train.
Yes, who also plays defensive tackle as well. So I get to see a 5'3" guy lining up at defensive tackle. It's really fun to see that. They've got a lot of weapons on offense. And Refugio, what I like about their offense is how multiple they are. You know, they can get it done in a number of different ways. Last week against St. Augustine, they ran for over 400 yards in that win, lined up in a lot of power sets almost the entire game. But when they need to spread it out and spread, they can throw the ball. With Jacob Kelly, their TCU baseball commit, sophomore quarterback, gives them a different dimension than they really had last year. Because last year, like you said, when Jacoby Avery played quarterback last year, Refugio was much more predicated on the running game.
Yeah, and now they're a little bit more multiple, got a couple of different options. You know, for me, the key for Mart is to really get out in space and run. Because even against a speedy Refugio team, I think they'll have the speed advantage.
Yes.
And so the farther wide this game gets, I think that's the advantage for Mart.
Yeah, and Refugio is going to want to keep Mart contained. They're going to try to funnel everything back into the middle of the field and try to harness that speed for Mart. I think it's a really fascinating matchup. Good chess match.
Oh, yeah, and I mentioned it, speaking of chess match, I mentioned it in my breakdown, the coaching matchup, that you have Kevin Hoffman, who's really establishing himself as the new guy there at Mart. It's big shoes to fill with Rusty Nail.
No doubt.
But he's done a great job this year going up against the Wizard. He's going up against Jason Herring, who has, I think, claimed to being the best small school football coach in Texas.
I think he's coaching in his 5th state title game, if I'm not mistaken, because he coached at one before Refugio. I believe it's Sonora, and he won a state title at Sonora. He's got now 3 state titles at Refugio and lost another state title, or 2 state. I think he's won 2 and lost 2 state title games at Refugio. So this is going to be number 6 for him. So he's been in this atmosphere a lot of times. It's not going to rattle him or his team. I think that's a big edge for Refugio as well. Mart hasn't been in the state championship in a few years. Refugio, this is old hat for them.
Yeah, they're going to be there, and of course, this is kicking off Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. It'll also be on Fox Sports Southwest. All right, Step, going to put you on the spot. Refugio or Mart in the 2A Division I title game?
I'm going to take Refugio in this one. I like their advantage in the trenches. I think they have an edge there, and I think they have the speed to contain Mart out wide and not let that be too big of an advantage for the Panthers.
The thing for me that comes back to is Refugio's offense hasn't been stopped by anybody, and I think they already went through the best defense in 2A and when they beat Mason.
Yeah.
To do that, I think really turned heads for me. So I'm sticking with Refugio. They were my pick before the playoffs. I'm sticking with the Bobcats. But, of course, We could be wrong. I think you're exactly right. This is a very close matchup. It's going to come down to 2 or 3 plays.
Must-see TV on Wednesday night for sure.
Absolutely. So make sure you're by the channel or come out to AT&T Stadium.
Come join us
for the 2A Division I state championship game. And for Wednesday, that's the Wednesday slate. We're going to have a pregame show like this for every day of the state championship games on TexasFootball.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. So follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com, where you can find complete coverage of the 2017 Texas High School Football State Championship games at TexasFootball.com/state. For Matt Stepp, I'm Greg Tepper. We'll see you at the stadium.